Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. So today it's Wednesday, and I jump on at 2 o'clock Pacific every Wednesday and do a technique. So today I thought I'd pull out a technique that I haven't played with for a while, but I'm going to use these as my thank you cards, my customer thank you cards for August. Can you believe it's August? It's so hard to believe the summer is almost, well, it's not almost over, but it kind of, when you get to August, it kind of feels like it's almost over. But this is using alcohol and the Stampin' Blends, and then 99% alcohol to kind of move that alcohol from the blends around. Creates really pretty backgrounds, and they make really quick and easy and kind of pretty beautiful. Yeah, I love the backgrounds these create. Backgrounds. So I'm going to use them as my thank you cards for the month of August. So, if you place an order with me, you might be getting one of these to say thank you. So I'll show you how it's done. It's really easy. I know I've used this technique in the past, but I decided to pull it out because I haven't played with it for a little while. So let me switch over and we'll get started. All right, things are a little crooked here. Let's try and get them not quite so crooked. All right, I was playing before I went live to just kind of create one to show you. So this I'm using, now you do need some tips. You need some bright colors. If you don't use bright colors, it doesn't really show up really well. So I've chosen dark of each of these. So Starry Sky, Berry Burst. Actually, that's the light one. These are all the light ones. Let's grab the right. So dark Starry Sky, dark Berry Burst, and dark Parakeet Party. And this was the piece that I created. Now, I always find it shows up much better when you actually put a piece of basic white behind it. But isn't that pretty? Just so pretty. And I'm just going to stamp a sentiment, I think, on it, unless I end up cutting and putting a piece on. We'll see how my thought of stamping a sentiment on here may not show up as well as I was thinking, but we'll see how it goes. So then I'm going to cut these. Oops. I'm going to create a few backgrounds and show you. So I'm actually going to layer this on Parakeet Party and then layer it on Starry Sky. So I think that's just to make a really pretty background. So let's get started. I'll show you how it's done. It's really easy. Okay. Now, silicone mats make it much better so you don't make a mess on your grid paper. I am using a piece, I've cut my vellum cardstock. So you just need a piece of vellum cardstock. This is cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4. You could leave it for the moment if you wanted to just take a quarter of a sheet. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. You are going to trim this, but I do like to start with a bigger piece than what I want to end up with. The other thing, so besides the tip about layering it on some basic white cardstock, hello, I'm not sure who that is. Don't forget to give StreamYard permission. So go to streamyard.com/Facebook, and that way I'll see who's commenting. You need, I'm gonna make sure the lid's, oh, the lid's not on that. 99% isopropyl alcohol. If you have 70%, which is rubbing alcohol, it won't work. It's got too much water in it and you need the alcohol. So 99% alcohol. You can get this, at least in Canada or in British Columbia, you can get this even at grocery stores. I've seen it, but make sure it's 99% alcohol. It may actually just be in pharmacies. And I know the pharmacy in town, I had to ask for it because it wasn't out on the counter. They definitely have rubbing alcohol at 70%, but they didn't have this one out. But you don't need a prescription for it. Oh, Betty, welcome. Yeah, so make sure it's 99% alcohol. Okay, so I've got a few things here to play with. I've got a spritzer full of alcohol. I've also got one of the water painters full of alcohol with the wide brush. It's just really a way to move that alcohol and the marker around. So that's what we're going to do. And again, I'm going to use, these are the darks, and I'm going to have it mostly, well, not mostly, I'm going to start with Starry Sky. I don't know that there's a rhyme or reason about how to do this, but really you just want to lay some color down. So I'm just kind of, I'm using the brush end because it just gives you the biggest surface area. And it doesn't matter what, where you put it or how much you put down. And then we'll add in some berry burst. And the fun of this is everyone you create is a little bit different. And that's kind of cool. Doesn't matter if you overlap. And then, oops, wrong end. We'll go in and add some of the parakeet party. And if it overlaps, you can see, it starts to change the color because, of course, blue and green, or blue and kind of a yellow make green. So you get some different. Now, a couple of ways you can move the ink around. If you've got a little container, sometimes I just use the cap of the alcohol. So you can, I personally think moving it around with the spritzer is kind of too much. I like to kind of control it, and that way you get some really cool lines where it pools and kind of runs into each other. If you spritz it, it just kind of tends to blend, in my opinion. So I've got my water painter full of alcohol, and I'm just going to kind of squeeze it until I get the alcohol flowing out of it. It takes a little bit. There we go. And you can just kind of squeeze it as it starts to flow. You're going to want it kind of all over, otherwise you're going to see all this kind of squiggles, and that's not the effect you want. So really I'm just squeezing it, and you can maybe see if I hold it up, as it starts to move around, you're getting kind of these lines where it almost hits a barricade. But then you can take, I've got another water painter that is just dry. You can kind of pick up some, and if you want to kind of move it around, you can just pick up some alcohol that you've put into the lid or a container, and add some more alcohol to those spots where it hasn't moved. Now I've got a big blob in the middle I'm not real happy with. That's because I picked it up and kind of moved it around so you could see it. But we'll see how it goes. It just kind of, you can touch it down if you want. So there we go. Now, like I said, I've got quite a blob in the middle. If you use a heat tool, I hope this is maybe a little bit loud, it dries really quickly because it's alcohol. So I've got it just on I'm going to use it on the high heat so I've got this really liquidy. So we'll see how this goes, but it's just really drying up quickly. Because of course you want it to be dry before you start to put this on your cardstock. Actually, despite the fact that I thought that this was really dark, I think look at how pretty that is, even though I was really sure it was going to be really dark. So you just never know what you're going to get. Now I'm going to play with, I've got two more pieces. So let's play with some different colors. So this one I'm going to kind of start with more Parakeet Party. And we'll lay some Berry Burst in. So depending on, how much of the different colors you put in, you'll end up with very different look to your background. But remember, use dark colors, because otherwise you just won't see it. All right, let's take, I'm going to try not to get it quite so wet, although, so I'm just squeezing until the alcohol starts to, you can see there, starts to drop onto my, and I'm going to try and keep it so that it doesn't flow quite so much as the last one, but it is hard to do that. Maybe if you taped the paper down, it wouldn't. Uses up a lot of alcohol because this was full, and it's already, oopsie, there I am. See, it's definitely moving around on me again because the alcohol, the paper warps a little bit and curls, and then you get, so I'm just kind of touching take this one. Where's my cap? So touch this down on some areas that didn't get the alcohol. Makes me feel like an artist. You know, I have some very artsy people in my life, the friends, and I don't always feel very artsy. I feel more crafty. And I know that's hard to see because it's so liquidy. So let's take the heat tool and see what this turns out like. Again, I got it on high. It's kind of moving around here, but I think it'll be. The Starry Sky definitely takes over. I will say that. And this one I think is going to be, because I didn't use as much as the dark Starry Sky, it's going to be a little lighter. Okay, so definitely look at the difference. So this is the one I just did. It's still really pretty compared to this one, compared to my first one, which I actually really like. I mean, I like all of them, but they're very different. Okay, let's try one more just because I'm kind of in that mood, and then I'll make a card using it. So I'm going to go back to using my Starry Sky because I think that I like that look. And then we'll put some more Berry Burst. And then let's try and just little bits of pops of color. We'll see if I can actually get it so it doesn't, it more does what I had it doing when I was playing a little bit. Where's my silicone mat? All right, let's try. I'm going to just pick up some alcohol with my wide. So I'm just kind of picking up alcohol with the wide brush off my aqua paint or my water painter, and just kind of dropping it on, and hopefully won't get quite so much alcohol on my page. Yeah, I kind of like this effect. So it has a chance to almost start to dry, and you get kind of the lines where it's meeting up with the other parts, which is kind of cool. It's like it's come up against a barricade, a dam, and isn't able to move anywhere. So this is really pretty, I think. So I'm just going to let this sit there for a minute, and then we'll use I'm going to try this from a little higher so it doesn't kind of move it quite so much. So it's still kind of moving it. It dries really quickly, but I am losing my let's see, my kind of lines that I want. So I'll let this dry a minute or so longer, and you guys probably can't see that because it's so wet that it's got the glare, but you can see the lines it's creating as the kind of the two parts of alcohol kind of rub up against each other. All right, so I'm going to let that dry a little bit more naturally and see how that goes, but we'll make a card using one of the ones that is already pretty dry, because you do want this to be dry before you start. All right, let's put this over here out of the way, and I'll bring it back in a minute. So I've got a piece of Starry Sky cardstock that I cut 5.5 by 8.5, and I'll score it at 4 1/4, and fold it into the mountain or the raised line and give it a good burnish. And then my piece of Parakeet Party is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So I'm going to use this first one that I created. I'm going to trim this to be 3 3/4 by 5 because I do want the parakeet party to show. So it'll be 5 inches long. You can save those little bits and do something with it. And then 3 3/4 of an inch wide. And then the same for the basic white, which will be behind. So 5 by 3 3/4. There we go. So this piece will now go on here like that. Will be popped up on the parakeet party. Hello. And then we'll go on here. Not going to be a pretty card. Now, what I'm not sure is I've got some stays on because I think I want some to make sure that it's not water soluble ink I'm using or alcohol based ink. This is the Kindest Expression stamp set. I'm going to use this Thanks So Much stamp. First time I've used this one. Just got it. But I love these. Look at these sentiments on this. It's just sentiments. So thanks so much with sympathy. Oh, happy day and sending sunshine and rainbows. Just a really nice set of sentiments. Okay. What I'm going to do, so I'm using Stays On. Remember, it will permanently stain your stamps. So you want to use the Stays On cleaner with it because the regular Stamp and Scrub won't work, or the Stamp and Mist. Now I'm going to try on one of these I'm not so happy about, and I'm just going to stamp right on top and just see what I think of that. I'm not real happy about that, so I think I'm going to take a piece of basic white and a piece of something and layer it, just because let's see, how wide is this? So if I cut mine, say 1.5 inches by 3, okay, just trying to figure out how big my sentiment is that I need a piece of basic white. Okay, we'll do it 1.5 inches wide. I always kind of have to play with this because I'm never sure how these are going to turn out. So let's yeah, I think being on basic white is going to be much better. There we go. That's better. Thanks so much. I'm going to trim this a little bit because I think I can trim. I can trim maybe 1/8 of an inch off the bottom. That's pretty good. And then we'll trim just a little bit off each end. There we go. If I'd done this before, I wouldn't have had to do that. And then I've got a piece of Starry Sky. So this piece for my sentiment is turned out to be 3 1/8 by what? 1 3/8. So let's do this. So they want it to be 1/4 inch bigger. So 3 3/8 by, what did I say? 1 3/8. So 1 5/8. Just want 1/4 inch bigger all around so that I've got a bit of a mat showing. So that's pretty good. Okay. Now the one thing about this, sometimes when you're adhering it, oh, I like that. Yeah. Sometimes the glue dots and things will show. I'm going to use glue dots, and I'm going to use them just on the vellum behind. So it's going to be a bit free floating behind where my my sentiment is going to go. Where's that? There we go. So I'm just putting glue dots on. Hopefully they won't show up too much. So this is going to go right onto the basic white, just to make the colors pop a little bit. And then I pulled out the in color. These are last year's, so they carried over the in color metallic woven ribbon. So I've got Parakeet Party, and I think I'm going to use the Parakeet Party. So let's see how big this is. I think I'm going to tie it this way. So I'm going to just wrap it and try and tie a bow. So the cool thing about these creating the backgrounds is you can do these in advance, and that's always nice to have them made in advance and then make them. And they also, you can make a bunch at a time. So I'm going to use my tweezers to hold my ribbon as I try and tie a bow. And so then you can make up the cards, or you could make up the cards and actually just not put sentiments on them. And that way you've got a bunch of cards, because they're kind of all occasion cards. There's no, it doesn't have to be a thank you. It doesn't have to be a birthday. You could use these for just about anything. There we go. And then we'll put the sentiment on. So I'm gonna sit one day, and I'll use these pieces that I have made, and I'll make a bunch more, and then I'll be ready to go with my thank you cards for August. So if you live in Canada and you're interested, we're having a BOGO sale coming up on Sunday, August 13th. And what that means is that if you, got glue on me, if you pick retired product from our albums, so we'll have a bunch of albums, including new product or product from the retired annual as well as the last mini. You place an order for the equivalent amount and you get the retired product for free. Only available for anybody in Canada, but if you're interested in that, jump over to my Facebook page or group, and you'll find the invite or the link to the Facebook group that you need to join if you're not already a member. So that's on Sunday, August 13th, if you want to mark your calendar. I'm busy getting all my retired product ready to go for the sale. It's a great deal because you get basically 2 for 1. You get brand new product, and then you get the retired product for free. And all you do is pay the postage if you don't live local to me. Put the lid on my glue. Thank you, Betty. You got me. Yes, thank you, because I'm so bad at that. There we go. And we'll just put this on. So I kind of think that's a pretty thank you card. So I'll make a bunch of these. Now, what did I grab? I grabbed some, I thought I grabbed some embellishments, but oh, I did. These are the in color pearls that are brand new to the catalog. So they coordinate with the in colors from last year. So I think I'm going to use the berry burst ones just because I think there's not a lot of berry burst, and I think it'll just look really pretty. Come on, wants to stick. There we go. But I could use any of them. There we go. Now I didn't put anything on the inside. You could. Where did they go to? They're a little thin, but if you cut your vellum a little bit wider, so if instead of cutting it to 4 inches by 5 1/4, left it at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, you'd have a wider piece to cut off. And then you could use this. I don't even have a piece of basic white. You could use this on the inside of yours. Or if you end up with a piece like this that I'm not real happy with and I've already stamped over, you could cut this up, and if that was the right size, it would look very pretty with that just adhered on the inside to coordinate your card. So I think I will do that. I'll cut up this piece that I wasn't happy with that I stamped on, and I'll put it on the inside of my card. There, yeah, I really like these colors. So try it out. If you haven't played with this technique, it is very fun. And I will say that the isopropyl alcohol is not, there's no price on this one that I bought, but it's not very expensive, and it does last. Just keep the lid on tight. One, it'll dry out if you don't, because it's alcohol. it evaporates. So just keep the lid on tight. And this has been in my cupboard for a while. It actually says it expires in 2025, but I don't know how much it actually expires. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me today. So have fun with these alcohol background cards or alcohol backgrounds. And I'll see you tomorrow for the mystery challenge. Stay tuned. Check out the clues that'll go live tomorrow morning. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Happy stamping. Bye.